There's always this member who's like a superstar achiever in a club, and the club revolves around this member. But if you take them out of the equation,
Oh,
does the club capsize or does it stay the same way? If
yeah.
it capsizes,
Welcome to D50 After Dark. I'm your host, Mickey Bennett, and in today's episode, we will be having another conversation with past District Director Garv Shekhar, and today we'll be talking about leadership roles in Toastmasters and how they might translate into roles in your career. It's going to be another fun conversation with Gaurav. Stay tuned. Welcome back to D50 After Dark, Gaurav.
well, thank you for having me here.
I had so much fun talking with you in our previous episode. I almost forgot to stop the episode. And so today we want to talk about, all these leadership roles we have in Toastmasters, club leadership roles like president, and district leadership roles like area director and district director, which is a role that you've had. And we don't do them just to give back to the Toastmasters community, although that's great.
Yeah.
There's also, we're training ourselves for other things outside of Toastmasters. So we want to talk about that today.
Sure. See, Toastmasters is an educational organization. We talk about public speaking and leadership being the two tracks of it, but at the end of the day, people are learning to do something.
Yeah.
Something as simple as, I remember this story from one of the clubs where the club secretary got a promotion at work because her club meetings taught her a way to take notes, and she used to send those minutes back to, not really minutes, but it was like a nice a wrap-up story of what the club meeting was all about.
Yeah.
And she would send that to members, and she subconsciously just did that at one of her executive meetings at work.
Yeah.
And they liked it so much that they kind of gave her a new project to work on.
Yeah.
And that kind of put her on a path to success. So what I'm trying to get at is Toastmasters, with every role you are learning something.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you join Toastmasters.
Yeah.
When we ask members, why do you want to join Toastmasters? Nobody says that they want to do very specific things, except for that they want to be better speakers.
Right.
They want to be better leaders, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's what brings them to a club. Till the time that relevance is there, till the time they're learning.
Yeah.
And yes, this is a place, Dr. Ralph Smedley, the founder of Toastmasters, said, we learn in moments of enjoyment. So we can't be very stern and very serious all the time. We have to have fun. But at the same time, fun is a byproduct of the journey.
Sure.
Fun was not the reason why people joined.
Sure.
And that is what we have to always keep in mind, that there are things people want to learn. At the same time, knowing the boundaries of these different roles is also important. Now our members are really nice people. They like supporting each other. They want to do things. But if you constantly are doing somebody else's job, then what is happening is, number one, you are burdening yourself with more work. Number two, you're taking away the incentive from somebody else to learn how to deliver that. And then if this becomes a habit, over a period of time, you see yourself stressed.
Yeah.
Because now you are doing everybody's work. There's always this member who's like a superstar achiever in a club, and the club revolves around this member. But if you take them out of the equation, does the club capsize or does it stay the same way?
Yeah.
If it capsizes, that's not a good leader.
Yeah. I mean, it's potentially a real problem as you grow in your leadership and your understanding of like the working of Toastmasters and everything. There's a risk of doing it all yourself. I've seen like a club president would submit the officer list for the next officer term, and I would say like, hey, wait a second, let the club secretary do that. I mean, any of the club officers can do it in Club Central, but let the secretary, because that's a
Yeah.
role that they would normally do. And
Yeah.
by doing it yourself, they may not even realize it's something that needs to be done. Someday that secretary will be a president and not submit the list
Yeah.
because they weren't even aware that that was a thing.
Yeah.
And that's just, one specific example of the point you're making. But the, the, the point is, people come to Toastmasters to develop their skills,
They
right?
do. They do. And that is what keeps them there till the time you are satisfying that need, because that need changes over a period of time.
Yeah.
But, at the core, it still is the same thing. I want to learn. I want to be better. I'm a confident public speaker. I want to be more confident. I want to have variety. But that ability, that need to be a good public speaker or that need to be a good leader doesn't go away. It's not like that after 2 years, people say, hey, I want to have fun at Toastmasters. And you know what? This is my party place. And I want to have a great party at Toastmasters. Well, you can have a few parties here and there.
Yeah.
And, there is a social element in Toastmasters as well. But that will never become the primary need.
Yeah.
And that's what people have to remember. And that, I think, puts some onus on the club leaders or the leaders at different levels.
Yeah.
That, how do you make sure that you're focused on the mission and vision of whether it's your club, it's your district, or it's Toastmasters International?
Yeah. I loved your example of the club secretary who got a promotion, because when we think of leadership roles, translating into the workplace, automatically we think, okay, well, I'm going to manage a team in my company or something like that. But that's not the only way in which these leadership roles translate. The club secretary, she learned how to keep track of, document, summarize meetings, and provide that clarity for the other people in the company. Not necessarily not managing a team, but that providing of clarity about the results of a meeting, and that boosted her career. I love that story.
You know what? That's just one example of several hundreds of stories that we may not be aware of. But people are constantly working on their skills in these meetings. I mean, something as simple as, and this is something personal to me, when I started doing evaluations, I saw a change in myself.
Sure.
Because now because the evaluator's role requires you to give a feedback that's positive, constructive. You talk about things they can do to improve, but you also highlight the good parts of their speech.
Yeah.
I started seeing a change in myself. Now, I considered myself pre-Toastmasters a little critical person about things.
Yeah.
And that was not to hurt somebody, but that was just the way it was.
Yeah.
But I started seeing that, I was actually complimenting people more on what they have done well. And, that whole ability to give constructive feedback got a shot in the arm from Toastmasters. And again, or something like, the R-counter role.
Yeah.
The R-counter role is directed towards critical listening skills.
Sure.
And I could realize that, I was able to really listen to what people are saying well. I was able to cut the noise and focus on the speaker in any setting. And it doesn't matter how many people were there. It's such a important skill that we take for granted. We think, yeah, I'm listening to you. Hey, Mickey, you've been talking to me. I'm listening to you. But I'm really understanding what you're talking about. Am I getting what your point is?
Yeah.
So every bit of Toastmasters, this is an organization which is more than 100 years old.
Yeah.
And I don't think so there is any side of human behavior they have not touched upon.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you mentioned the evaluator role, which I love that. So now, as someone who does manage people, I'm sure you very commonly have to give people feedback, whether it's in an annual review or just regular discussions to develop them in their career. You need to give people feedback as a leader in your workplace.
Yeah.
And your experience with giving evaluations in Toastmasters has impacted that?
It does. It has, in a way that, I'll give an example. And this was not very recent, but a few years ago, I had evaluated a speech, and there were things that I spoke during my open evaluation
Mm-hmm.
of that speech.
Yeah.
And I told the person what it was.
Yeah.
But there were some finer details that I wanted to communicate it to them as well.
Sure.
They were not the best ones to talk about in front of a whole room,
Sure.
but I remember giving them a side talk about
Yeah.
what are some of the things that they could have also, and I wrote it down in their evaluation. The thing is, see, when we are giving somebody feedback, we have to also understand it's a human being,
Sure.
right?
For sure.
We don't have to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if there is something important that will help them,
Yeah.
that needs to be also talked about.
Exactly.
After that evaluation was given, I wasn't giving them an evaluation on the side. I was having a discussion with them. So it now became a discussion, and they were open to hearing some things which were not great to hear in front of everybody. They acknowledged some. They actually gave me some feedback on, why they did something or not. And it helped me also realize that, okay, well, now I get it, why you did something a certain way. But I saw myself doing something very similar that very year in an evaluation. So at this time, yes, we have to put something in writing, but if I have to give somebody some really good feedback about that helps them with their growth, everything doesn't have to be a written word.
Yeah.
It could be a conversation.
Yeah.
It could be a conversation in a way that it's discussed, the point is made. What do you want out of an evaluation? Do you want to strike somebody down and tell them how horrible they've done?
Of course not.
Or would you like to see them become a better speaker or better person or whatever you expect them to do?
Yes.
For me, that's the goal.
Yeah.
The speaker was much better the next time.
Mm-hmm.
And with this employee, they were much better. There were things that they did in a much better way once they understood, where they were doing well and where they could have improved.
Again, I like your example of the evaluation where, in addition to giving the orally delivered evaluation, you had a conversation with them after the meeting. The evaluation guidelines recommend that you do this as an evaluator, but I think a lot of us skip that part. We're busy, the meeting's over, we're moving on, going back to work or going home to have dinner, and we often skip having that direct conversation with the person we've evaluated, the speaker, and we're missing another opportunity to develop what you would do in the professional setting, where you don't just deliver a written evaluation to them, you have a conversation with them about their performance, and what you did with that speaker is part of it. And it reminds me of something you said before the interview about believing in the process. What do you mean by that?
So I have a story for that.
Okay.
And the story is, Mahatma Gandhi. So Gandhi was the father of nation for India. He was, the top leader in the Indian struggle against the British. There was one incident that he talked about in his book, My Experiments with Truth. He talked about an incident where before leading the freedom fight for India, he was a barrister in South Africa for several years. And
a barrister, and that's what, like an attorney?
It's an attorney,
okay,
a lawyer, right? He was a barrister, a lawyer in South Africa. And those were the days, these were the days when there was a lot of segregation, there was racial discrimination that was going on. He was traveling in the train. He was in the first class compartment. He had a valid ticket, and he was thrown out at a station because he was not supposed to be in that coach. And everybody knows about that story. Now, what people think is, we often connect things in a very movie style that, he was insulted and then he decided that he's going to throw these people out, and he went to India and he fought the struggle. Well, you know what? It's a great Hollywood. It's a great movie screenplay that ways, but that didn't happen. One of the things
it didn't happen.
It didn't happen that ways.
Okay.
Because there is, of course, over a period of time he moved and he figured out what his next challenge was, and that was to go back to his motherland, India, at that point of time. What he did was that night when he was thrown out, he went to the station master at that station, that office, and he lodged a formal complaint.
Hmm.
And he wrote about how the station master apologized to him, told him that he had the valid ticket, he had all the right to travel in that compartment. And in the very next train that was going to his destination, he was put on that train in the same compartment, respectfully, with an apology and everything.
Hmm.
He talked about that, that day he realized that there is always a process. In this case, instead of, yes, if you're thrown out and you're insulted, you will feel angry. And yes, he had that anger, but he also followed the process. If something bad has happened to you, what's the next step?
Hmm.
The next step in this case was to file that formal complaint.
Yeah.
And because he was able to do that, there was a resolution that was met. He talked about the thing that there's always a process, and the process works to your benefit. People feel that processes are a way of discrimination. No, processes help the organization. Processes help the individual as well.
Yeah.
They might be slow at times because sometimes there are complicated processes and you need to be patient with it. But these processes will bring the right, you to the right point that you want to be at. And this faith in the process is important. The same thing applies to Toastmasters. Nobody is just going to go in, attend one meeting, and tomorrow become the world champion of public speaking, or is going to go out to a sold out event where everybody is there to watch this person speak. It doesn't happen. Yeah. It takes time. Everybody has their own pace, but you have to trust the process. When they say, hey, take a role, take a timer's role. One of the most important things I learned being a timer, I didn't know how much speaking can you fit in a minute.
Yeah.
And because I was a timer, it taught me over a period of time that, okay, so in a minute, this is the amount of message, or this is what you can speak.
Yeah.
Yes, before joining Toastmasters, I knew that a person speaks at the rate of 80 to 120 words a minute. But what does it look like?
Yeah.
So everything in Toastmasters, it doesn't matter how lengthy of that role is, has a specific skill that it is helping you with. And you have to just trust the process. That's why I always tell people, don't just be a speaker, or don't just be a timer, or just don't be the evaluator. Mix and match. The manuals that I feel are the best manuals written around public speaking, those manuals give you a path. They call it's pathways now, right?
Right.
It has the right name. It gives you a path as to how you can build certain types of skills. Trust the process, because that process is built for your success.
Yeah. Yeah. And Toastmasters has put a lot of thought into each of those projects, what they tell you to do, the worksheets that they make available that you're supposed to fill out and follow the process so that you get the most out of your investment of time and effort into Toastmasters.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very cool. And then the same is true in the business world. There are processes.
There are processes. It might frustrate you sometimes. We talk to students all the time. Students sometimes, there's a problem. And tell me, Mickey, who doesn't want a quick solution? Everybody wants a quick solution.
It's human nature.
It's human nature. But if there is a process established for something and we follow that process, processes help with longevity. Sometimes in doing things quickly without the right process might lead to injustice. Injustice at many levels, right?
Sure.
I see a lot of times students come, they'll be like, oh, is it possible to increase a few points because I'll move to the next letter grade? Oh, this is, I would really love to be whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You're a sympathetic person. You might say, sure, I might give you some extra point because it will make you happy. But that was not the process.
It was not the process.
Firstly, those points were not earned.
Yeah.
And if they were given in an arbitrary fashion, even though you benefited as an individual, there are several others in the class to whom it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
So again, if you really are worthy of those extra points, there is a process. We say, you know what? If you feel that you've got a grade which is arbitrary or capricious, file a grade appeal, because then people will look at every aspects of your situation and then make a determination whether did this follow the process or not. And in following the process, if there's anybody else who's affected by it, they will also get the benefit of it. I think sometimes, and this is with any situation, it's very easy and it's very tempting to cut corners.
For sure.
Very easy and very tempting. And you will be like, you know what? It's okay. Let me just do it once. You know what happens with that? When you say you will do something once, then you know how it happens.
Yeah.
Then you know what it means to do it a certain way. And slowly, your standard operating procedure becomes those shortcuts.
Yeah. You learn, I can get away with it.
I can go, you know what? Nothing happened.
Yeah.
I did it the not so right way.
Yep.
And nothing happened. It'll be okay.
I didn't wear my seatbelt. There was no car crash. I lived. I don't have to wear my seatbelt. I can save half a second when I drive by not fastening my seatbelt.
Yeah, or keeping the puffiness of my jacket. Okay.
Until the day that you do have a crash and you didn't follow the process.
And those are
to cite an extreme example.
It is. And the thing is, you get hurt once.
Yeah.
Just once. And I'm not talking about actual hurt, physical hurt.
Yeah.
It could be mental, it could be emotional, it could be different types of hurt. That's why follow the process. The process will lead you to that long-term success.
For sure. All right. Well, I think we there's so much more we could talk about this topic of how roles in Toastmasters, like the district director role, translates into career roles. But we've gone 20 minutes, so I think we're going to cut it off there. And in our next conversation, I want to talk about red flags for clubs, because I know it's an important thing. Like, how do we know if our club's going in the right direction or the wrong direction? Yeah. And so that's what we're going to talk about next. Thank you for joining us today, Gaurav. And for our listeners, thank you for joining us. As I said, next episode, we'll be talking about red flags for your club. So if you think your club may not be headed in the right direction, verify by listening to this next conversation and see what to look out for. We'll catch you next time.